So the PS5 Pro was revealed a few weeks ago now, and it's received a fair share of criticism, particularly surrounding its price. Now, maybe I've spent too long around overpriced GPUs and have become kind of desensitized to being ripped off, but when it was announced, I thought it looked pretty good, but everyone else seemed to freak out, particularly on Twitter. But then I guess people kind of always do freak out on Twitter. That's like standard operating procedure over there. So I figured I would mull it over for a while, see if my opinions change, but weeks on I still kind of sit here and think it's really not such a terrible deal. So I figured I'd go through all of my thoughts on it all, and you can tear me to shreds in the comments. So if that sounds fair, let's go ahead and let's break it all down. So first things first, I own a PS5, but I don't really have a team when it comes to consoles. I know some of you go mad for a good console war, but I really couldn't care less, even if I tried. I'm a PC guy first and foremost, and for those that don't know, I spend a large amount of time in my garden shed where all my PC gear is, running this channel and my other larger flight sim channel. For me, the only reason I have a console at all really is that it's nice to have something inside the house that I can goof around on. As a YouTuber, when I'm in my shed surrounded by all of my gear, it kind of puts me into work mode, so it's nice to have something that I can play while lounging around on the sofa that's just for me and never for content. I went for the PS5 because I already had a really good gaming PC, and anything Xbox related that I wanted to play, such as Halo, such as Forza, I could get on my PC. So it seemed weird to me to then get a weaker version of my gaming PC just so I could play games I already own on my PC by buying an Xbox. It made more sense to go with a PS5 as there were some games over there that I couldn't play on PC. So it plugged a lot of gaps. That is all to say that I'm not saying the PS5 Pro looks good because I'm a crazy fanboy with some kind of anime profile picture on Twitter. I'm saying this because it's genuinely how I feel. I don't really have a team or a stake in this kind of console war. I'm just sort of looking at it with fairly neutral eyes. Anyway, let's start with some common arguments against the PS5 Pro that I've seen online and see if we can address them. First up, the one I see quite a lot is it doesn't come with an optical drive, and yeah, I mean, neither has any PC for years now. I mean, I bought the PS5 with an optical drive, the base level one, years ago, and I bought a couple of physical games to go with it, and I really dislike having to get up to swap out the games. Like, it's the other side of the room. I know it sounds super lazy, and I guess it is, but honestly, I've honestly reconsidered like rebuying Gran Turismo 7 from the PlayStation Store just so I can quickly hop into it, do the daily marathon, then get back to the main game I'm playing without having to get up to change discs twice. Another one we saw quite a lot of was it doesn't come with a vertical stand. And yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. Perhaps that is properly stingy of Sony. They absolutely should have put one in the box. I mean, there was one included with the base level PS5, so why it can't be included with the Pro is beyond me. Another one that comes up a lot is console shouldn't be $700 or pounds or whatever it is in your region. And yeah, okay, I do get that. It is a lot of money. But I would argue now that consoles are more like PCs than they have ever been. They're targeting similar resolutions and in some cases similar levels of quality in terms of visuals. I know PCs will get you higher FPS and you can maybe go even higher on the quality sometimes, which is why I said they're similar to PCs, not the same as PCs. And unfortunately, when you make a console like the PS5 Pro, which is targeting 4K 60 with a load of eye candy cranked up, that's going to need hardware to do that, and that hardware does come at a price. There's no way around it. You'd need a beefy PC to do that. So to me, it's no wonder that the PS5 Pro is priced where it is. So to better illustrate this point, let's spec out a PC on PC Part Picker as close as we can to the PS5 Pro, as close as is reasonable. You're never going to get it completely matched as the PS5 runs a custom APU, but we'll do our best and get it close enough. So, starting with the CPU element hasn't actually changed for the PS5 Pro. It's still using the same 8 cores of Zen 2 that the regular PS5 was given, which again, when you consider they're pitching this as a 4K 60 box, they probably don't need loads more CPU grunt, as in most titles, those 8 Zen 2 cores are more than enough to hit 60 FPS. Now, if it was targeting 4K 120 or greater, then I think the CPU would need re-looking at. So, with all that said, for the CPU, we'll pick the AMD Ryzen 3700X. Again, I know it's not a 100% match, but I think it's as near as we can reasonably get in the land of PC. Luckily, the 37X comes with a box cooler, so no need to pick up a separate cooler, saving a little bit of money. For the motherboard, I've chosen an MSI B450M Pro VDH Max. I mean, what a name. Just incredible. This is a micro ATX motherboard. Why did I go B450? Because it was cheap. If I was building this for myself for actual use, I would have probably gone for B550 and probably a full ATX board for expansion purposes versus a micro ATX. But this is more a build to prove a point, and I'm trying to build as cheap as possible without, buying complete trash. So next up, we've gone for 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 3200 CL16 memory, nice and cheap at £27.99. Apple, take note. Now, here's the interesting part. We've got the SSD. The PS5 Pro actually comes with a 2TB SSD, and I feel this gets overlooked when you see a lot of heated debates online about it. And it's a decent SSD. It's up there with some of the best Gen 4 drives on PC. With that in mind, we've gone for a 2TB PCIe Gen 4 NVMe drive. It's a Samsung 980 Pro 2TB, which would cost you £162 alone at the time of recording. So it's quite a big deal to get the equivalent amount of high quality storage in the PS5 Pro. And the price of including that for Sony shouldn't be overlooked. Now, this is probably the part that's going to cause the biggest uproar in the comments, the GPU. What do you choose? I've seen some people suggest that the PS5 Pro's GPU is the equivalent of the AMD 6800. Not the 6800 XT, I'm talking about the plain old 6800. But I don't really think that's fair. As for one, it's an RDNA 2 GPU, which is getting a bit long in the tooth now, especially when you consider that we've got elements of RDNA 4 in the PS5 Pro's GPU. You can't even get RDNA 4 on the PC yet. Listening to game devs on various podcasts and YouTube videos, the people that actually make the games and probably know, it seems that it's reasonable to compare the PS5 Pro's GPU to maybe a 7800 XT. You could possibly argue a 7700 XT, and I'll show you final build prices with both of these GPUs at the end, just so we're clear on that. For the case, I wanted to get something around the £50 mark, as I think that represents what you'd probably end up spending if you wanted a case that didn't cost a fortune but was actually semi-decent. So I went with a Montech Air 903. For the power supply, AMD recommend a 700-watt power supply for the 7800 XT. I know you could probably go lower, but we'll go with what they recommend. The cheapest I could find from a brand I was comfortable with was the Corsair CX 750-watt PSU for £55.99. It's a bronze power supply, not the greatest, obviously not modular. So an entry-level PSU, that's for sure. Would I use it if I was building for myself? Probably not, but again, we're building here to prove a point. So once we tot it all up, if we go with the 7800 XT GPU, we're looking at a total build price of £889.93, so nearly 900 quid, which is 200 more than the PS5 Pro. Dropping down, if we go for the option of having a 7700 XT to save a few quid, that brings us down to £834.95 at the time of recording, almost 140 more than the PS5 Pro. I haven't included an operating system in this, nor have I included a keyboard and mouse either. I think, in all fairness, maybe I should have at least included a keyboard and mouse, as if we're going to do apples to apples, you do get a means of controlling the PS5 Pro out of the box, i.e. the controller. So maybe I should have included that too, like a keyboard and mouse. I don't know, but I didn't, and whatever, you can add that in if you need to. Also, keep in mind that you're going to have to build this PC yourself if you just ordered all these parts. And if you went to a system integrator to buy a pre-built or paid a builder to build these parts for you, you'd be paying a further premium on top of that. And I can't also help but recognize the value of the PS5 Pro, and by extension the regular PS5, being a lockdown ecosystem where it's almost impossible to screw things up. As someone that spent many years in the wastelands of IT tech support, I can tell you with a large degree of certainty that a very big number of PC users have no business operating a PC. To quote an Irish relative of mine, it's like giving a gun to a monkey. So there you have it, folks. This is your cue to rip me to shreds in the comments. Call me all the names under the sun, Sony fanboy, whatever. But after weeks of thinking it over, I really don't think the PS5 Pro is that bad of a deal. And remember, you don't have to buy one. If you feel that strongly about it, vote with your wallet. For me, though, the proposition of a 4K 60 box with decent visuals for $699 is a pretty compelling one, especially one that can be operated from the comfort of my sofa. And I know you can get a wireless keyboard and mouse, but honestly, that's just, I've tried that and it's never good when trying to use it from a sofa. Would $599 have been better for the PS5 Pro? Sure, why, of course it would, but it isn't $599, so that is what it is. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm not trying to start a fight here. I am genuinely curious how you feel, and this is genuinely how I feel, so I thought I'd put it out there. And yeah, let's try and encourage a bit of healthy debate rather than descending into the nonsense that I've seen on Twitter over the last few weeks. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, folks. Leave a like. It really helps the video and the channel if you'd be so kind, and get subs so you don't miss any future videos. Take the very best care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.